Okay, I have something really fun planned for you today. I'm just putting, coloring the last bit for my sample. Is that bad? I changed what I was going to do today based on a Facebook party I had last night for my friend Joyce. So now here I am, like, coloring at the last minute. But let's see, I've got a couple of things to tell you or remind you of. There we go. That's good. Who else is on? Lori, Mary Lou, hi. Hi, Cindy from Springfield, Illinois. Lori from Florida. There's Stella. Nice to have you. My computer sits off to the right on a stand. It's given me more room to work when I'm doing Facebook Lives. So that's why you see me looking that direction at times. First of all, I should show you something fun. Let me flip this so you can see it the right way. There we go. So this is a card I made with the Feels Like Home stamp set for a blog hop I was in on Tuesday evening. And this Feels Like Home stamp set is one of those free celebration stamp sets that you can get with a $50 order. And I have to tell you, it's on my blog right now, stampinpeace.com, and it was posted Tuesday night. And I've also been featuring it on Facebook today. But the interesting thing is so many people are commenting on my coloring. And honestly, people are saying I could never do it as you. Yes, everybody can do this coloring. And it's our Stampin' blends that make it so easy. So I'm either going to do a live or a video on this and just show people how easy it really was for me to color this with my Stampin' blends. There's a lot of detail in this stamp, but it really was not hard at all. And I love using my Stampin' blends, so it was a fun thing. And then last night I had the honor of doing a virtual party for a friend of mine, Joyce, and it was a lot of fun. I've been posting things throughout the week, and she's invited a lot of people, and so I did a Facebook Live for them last night before we close out the party on Friday. But while I was showing products and talking about new products, holiday products, celebration, that sort of thing, I did a little, did a couple of demonstrations. So this one, we talked about product coordination and how the cute Halloween suite has paper, punches, stamp set, everything that coordinates together. So I'll be giving that away to one of her viewers last night. And then I also taught them a quick and easy fun fold card, because everybody likes fun fold cards. And if they're easy, they're great for everybody, even beginners. And this features the painted Christmas suite in our holiday catalog. All right, we've got several people on, so we're going to get started. I have one announcement, and that is about my Nature's Harvest Class to Go. With the Class to Go, you get the Nature's Harvest bundle. You're going to get a full package of the brushed metallic dots. They are adhesive-backed, so super easy to add those embellishments. And then you're going to get supplies to make 8 cards, 2 each of 4 different designs. And if you've seen my advertisement for this class, you've already seen this card, but I'm just going to quickly show you the others. I love this Misty Moonlight and white, real striking. And then the last one. And on this one too, I've used the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder that is part of the Harvest Meadow product suite in our holiday catalog. So tonight I'm going to show you a card which really is not hard, but I want to make a lot of them. And part of this card requires me to stamp and then die cut my flowers. Well, if you're making a lot of cards, that can be a little daunting to think, well, I have to stamp and then die cut 20 of these flowers. But I'm going to show you an easier way to do that. So I'm going to use the Stamparatus with my die cuts and give you a tip on how to use that Stamparatus. And if you're not familiar with the Stamparatus, this is a nice little introduction of just one of the techniques you can do with this wonderful tool. So I'm going to flip my camera around now. We'll get right to the project. Please share this live video and invite others to join in the fun with us tonight. Okay, so, and like I said, I changed my mind on my project for tonight. So it was just kind of finishing up putting the card together. So it's not quite 100% complete, but did you ever have a day like that? I had an appointment this morning at the doctor's that took quite a lot of time. And then just a bunch of other things. And I managed to mow my lawn before the storms hit. So that was a good thing. But this is the basic card. I don't have a sentiment for it yet, and I certainly can do some embellishing with it. But what I was talking about is this piece right here. Think about having to stamp and color and then die cut 20 of these. And each time you're wanting to make sure that the die cut is lined up with the stamp that you've just colored and looking real precise, I'm going to show you a way to make the die cutting and stamping of those die cuts a little bit easier and maybe a little bit more time efficient as well. So what I've done is created a template. I used the die that coordinates with the stamp I'm using, and I just cut out a template from this piece of white cardstock. Do use cardstock, not paper. You might even want to, maybe double up that. I typically just use one layer of cardstock, and it worked well. So now that I've done that, that would be my first step. My second step was cutting out a bunch of these flowers, sets of flowers, on white cardstock, and it could be whatever color cardstock you want, but I'm going to be coloring my flowers, so I wanted to cut them out of the white cardstock. Now you're probably thinking, but Mary, that's usually it's the opposite of what we usually do. Typically we stamp first, right? And then we lay our die cut there and run it through the embossing machine. And then we do the second one. We might stamp and do it. Or we're going to stamp 20 at once and color 20 at once. But then it's kind of tedious having to line up the die with the stamped image each time. So this time we're doing it in reverse. This time I've die cut lots of pieces. And then we're going to put these in here into our template, and then we're going to use our Stamparatus to stamp each one. So really, we aren't having to line up the stamp and the die, the stamped image with the die each time. So it just makes your process of making lots of die cut cards go a lot more quickly. So once you have your template in place, make sure you are securing it with the magnets that come with your Stamparatus. See if I can move that light and get that glare off a little bit. There we go. This template's going to stay in place. I'm not going to lift it at all. So make sure it's very secure in place. And then what I'm going to do is take my stamp And I'm just want to move it until I feel like it fits right into that die cut, or that that negative space, that hole in the template. You can even put a piece of scrap paper underneath if you want to try it out and make sure, but I have found this to be reliable like 95% of the time, if not 100%. And once you have that in your template, you're just going to press this down, pick up your stamp, and then lay one of your die cut, excuse me, lay one of your die cut pieces right in that template, and it will fit snugly, or it won't be moving around. And then you're going to, I don't like this lighting. I'm getting too much glare on the Stamparatus, but now I get a big shadow. If I don't have it, I get a big shadow. Well, I guess we'll just deal with it, right? Let me see if I can do that. Then I'm just going to ink up my stamp, and I'm just going to press it right down. Pick this up, and now I have it already stamped. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I think I cut out, I don't know, 6 or so. Gigi, I would like to take, this is smart, but I would like to take the credit for all of this, but this is something I learned from Stampin' Up! On one of their resource videos when our Stamparatus first launch. And when I looked that up, it's been 3 years since the Stamparatus launched. So I'm like, wow, time flies. But can you see how this is just a little bit easier and a little bit more time efficient than stamping and then lining up each of the stamped images within the die? I thought to do this today. That's why I changed from my original plan, because some of the people in the virtual party yesterday are, one of the things we talked about in the virtual party, the live party, was our favorite tools. And so I talked about the Stamparatus and gave them a basic demonstration of how it's great for repeat stamping, and I showed them the Hinge stamping. But I got to thinking, you can use it with templates that you've cut from your dies and even your punches. Maybe we'll do that on Friday. Show you how to do the same thing with, say, a builder punch. Or even maybe a label punch where you're wanting to stamp several sentiments for lots of cards. But I love this tip. I was so thrilled when I learned this way back, and thanks to the ladies at the virtual party last night, I was reminded of it and thought, well, if they don't all know about it, I need to be showing it. So I'm going to stop there and just set this aside. We'll do a little coloring, and then I will put together a card to give away tonight. How's that? And after I color and we put the card together, I'll talk about a couple of the new products that we're using for this card. So on my walks through the neighborhood, there's a woman, and I cannot even think of the name of the flowers, not black-eyed Susans, but I get them in purple, and they've got kind of the brownish center, but the petals are purple. or lilac color, and they kind of fold down instead of up. I can't think of the name of that. It's a very common flower. But anyways, as I've been walking, there's one home in my neighborhood, and her front yard looks stunning. The flowers, the porch flowers, the garden, everything looks stunning. And early in the summer, I saw coneflowers. That's what it is. Thank you, coneflowers. Early in the summer, I saw she had coneflowers in this Poppy Parade color, and they look so gorgeous in her front garden bed. And I don't think I've ever seen them in that color. Well, of course, after I put my flowers in, I went someplace. I was at a nursery just looking around, or Home Depot or something, and saw them in that color. So that's kind of where I got the inspiration to make these Poppy Parade coneflowers. Of course, you can do these in yellow, and make them black-eyed Susans if you want, daisies. You can do all kinds of things with this flower. Whatever makes you happy, right? Now, as you saw, when I'm using Stampin' blends, I like to do the dark shade first, or if I'm using different colors of Stampin' blends, I like to use the dark color first, just like we were taught when we were kids, using crayons. Well, no, it's the opposite. With the crayons, they would always say, you know, do your yellows and the whites and the lighter colors first. But with the Stampin' blends, I like to do the dark and then fill in with the light shade and blend the two shades together. And then if I feel the need, I completely missed coloring this one side of the flower. Then if I feel the need for even more dimension or seeing more variation in the dark and light tones, I can always go back in with the red, maybe just like this. But this is the wonderful thing about our Stampin' blends. You don't have to be an artist, because I definitely am not an artist. I am a true crafter, but I don't have a lot of artistic ability, true artistic ability. So I love the Stampin' blends for that reason. And then I'm using Old Olive. And again, I'm starting with the darkest shade first. There's not a right or wrong way. That's just my preferred way. For some reason, I have an easier time blending if I start with the darker. And then, like I said, sometimes I feel the need to add a little more dimension, and I'll go back in with the dark and add just a little bit more. Sort of like the opposite of highlights when you're doing that with the dark. Would anybody like a card today? To win a card? I'm so happy to have so many of you watching. This is awesome. Okay, I think I'll just stop there. And I've got some card pieces ready. So I'm using Poppy Parade as my card base. I have basic white for the inside. And then I have a layer of Poppy Parade that I put through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine with our new Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder. Just gives that kind of weathered, worn, vintage look. But before I adhere this, I'm actually going to put this crocheted ribbon just wrap it around like that. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus to make sure that stays in place right where I want it. That's a good strong adhesive for things like this. And 3D projects. I love using it for that. I also used it the other day. Monday I demonstrated how to make a spinner card in my Facebook Live. And that's a card where you need a lot of good adhesive so that that baker's twine or the string or whatever that's holding the spinner part in place does not get pulled out. Then I'll go ahead. I don't want, you know what? I don't know what if I'm gonna stamp on the inside or not. So now I have this piece of cork paper and I wanted to show you this. Does anybody have the cork paper from the holiday catalog? It is part of the Harvest Meadow suite. And I want to say it's around page 55 in the catalog maybe. But anyways, if you touch this, it actually kind of feels like cork. There's definitely a lot of texture in it, but it's got a very nice smoothness to it. And if you flip it over, it's just like a craft paper. So it's thinner than a cardstock, but I would say pretty equivalent to, say, a piece of designer series paper. But I just think it's really cool because it doesn't just look like cork, it feels like cork. So I love that about it. It comes in a package of 2 12 by 12 sheets. So I'm just going to add that. Oh, this would have looked good popped up on dimensionals too. But that's okay because I'm putting my flower on dimensionals. Oops, got it stuck down. I like these mini Stampin' dimensionals for all these stems and leaves. Might be a little bit more than we need, but there's just some finer pieces in there. So the mini dimensionals make it a bit easier. We didn't look much at the stamp set, just quickly, but you can see there's some really nice sentiments in there to choose from. Well, you know me, I'm not gonna say it. I'm saying it. I love sentiments. But look at this one, a reminder to never forget how much you mean to me and so many others. Oh, isn't that awesome? For encouragement, support, sending healing thoughts. May nature's beauty bring peace to your soul. That would be great for somebody going through an illness or some kind of difficulty in life, perhaps the divorce or separation, a catastrophic illness, the loss of a family member or friend, and then, of course, thank you and good luck. We don't have that very often, but you know, that could be for kids going off to college, somebody starting a new job or moving away, or somebody that's got a promotion. So I was happy to see that in there. We haven't had one of those for a long time. Okay, I am going to add, oh, and I should say, oh, this is already in here. Maybe I'll use this. I don't know if I like it on that color for the front. Lost my train of thought though when that popped out. I don't know. I can't remember. It's Wednesday and it's almost 8:30, so I have no idea what I was going to say about that. Isn't that awful? But let me show you. Let's just, sometimes it's nice to put some added stamping or a surprise on the inside of the card. So let's do that tonight with this flower. I'm just going to put it in this corner. And I can do some quick coloring with this. There's lots of little flowers and buds on this one, but still fun to do. Have any of you done any crafting today? Card making or any other kind of craft, something creative? Oh, hi, Joan from Washington State. Hi, Jackie. Paula. Paula says, I think you're talking about the cork paper, cork specialty paper. If you are curious about it, I would encourage you to order it and give it a try. And I believe it was Lori said that it cuts well with the dies. Yes, it cuts very easily. I haven't tried it with a punch, but we could do that. Remind me when I get this all done so I don't forget. Notice too with the Stampin' blends and something that is this finely detailed, I don't worry too much about, getting the coloring perfect. And sometimes these finely detailed stamps almost lend themselves to the fact that you don't have to do perfect coloring. Besides, nothing in nature is perfect, or it's all perfect in its own way. I guess it's a matter of perspective. And I'll fill in with a little bit of the light old olive. I have some empty spaces to fill in. And sometimes I'm really not even coloring, I'm just dabbing the tip. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on the inside of my card now. I feel like it needs just a little bit more embellishing. So I'm going to use some of the brushed metallic adhesive-backed dots. I think I'll use some of these gold ones. Maybe here. And a couple up here. Oh, and that virtual party last night, boy, did they love the Take Your Pick tool. How many of you have the Take Your Pick tool? You love it like I do? Paula, I understand. Kathy, I understand when sometimes you're just struggling to come up with things. And sympathy cards are hard for me too. And just as I was thinking about this, should I add a sentiment or something? I thought maybe I just want to leave it blank, or I can use this one because this is good for people who are ill, people going through a rough time, um, a sympathy card, a loss of a family member or friend, something like that. But I understand that struggle. Kathy, too, with, I think it was you that said about the Christmas cards. My problem with the Christmas cards is there's so many great Christmas products that I have a hard time picking just one. I typically will make one design and then I want to make all my cards and everybody gets the same one. But I have a hard time with that when there's so many good ones. Okay, here is the original card. Let's do a little embellishing on here. What I wanted to show you was, well, actually I want to do one more thing on this one. You know I love our Baker's Twine Essentials pack, the combo pack. And I thought, look how nicely this Baker's Twine matches the crocheted ribbon. So I'm just going to use this to make a bow for the cards. Oh, last night too, I showed them the black and white gingham ribbon and colored it with the pumpkin pie Stampin' blends for that Halloween card I showed you at the beginning just before we got started. And they were like, wow. So yes, Stampin' blends, you know, it's not about just coloring images. You can color ribbon and twine and embellishments. So it's fun showing people the versatility in our products. Oops. Must be down to the end of my glue dots here. Do I have any? Yep. And I'm not sure where I don't think I put it right there. Oh, I think that looks lovely. I kind of want this down further though. I feel like it's, yeah, I like that better. So what do you think? Would somebody like to win this card? Oh, Tammy says you got the little rake, the add-on, right? Does everybody know what she's talking about? The die brush comes with the sponge. Isn't that handy? I actually bought a second take your pick tool so that I could always have the die brush on. Love it. All right, so let's do some embellishing to this card. A couple things I wanted to tell you about this crocheted ribbon. This can be kind of heavy and thick and bulky if you actually tie a bow with it and put it on a card that you're going to mail. It would, because of the thickness and the bulk, it would require some extra postage, but it's still lovely. It makes a beautiful bow. But I wanted to show you a couple of other options using it. You could do just a simple knot. That eliminates some of the bow or a bulk. So you could do something like that, and that would look very nice on a card. Or you could do what I did and take a piece of it and actually cut it in half with your snips. Now, because it's crocheted, of course, it's going to fray, but I actually kind of like that because it adds to the time-worn look or the vintage look. But, you know, you could go right across the card like we did with the ribbon. Or if you tie a bow with this, there's going to be much less bulk than if you had just tied a bow with the crocheted ribbon as is. But I think it's kind of fun to do something like this as well. I think that's a little too big. But it's kind of fun with that frayed look. And it also reminds me of like the macrame cords and things like that. And you know, macrame is making a big comeback. We even have a macrame weave embossing folder and the macrame plant hanger in the Plentiful Plants set. So just another way to use one of our ribbons. I think I still had something on here. Yes, last one. And I'm just going to place it, oh, right there, I think. And then again, I will add some of these brush metallic dots. And of course, there's 3 colors. So depending on what your project is, you might choose different colors based on the colors of your card or other project. But I like that we have 3 different colors. I want to do something a little bit different this time. And you know the rule of odd numbers when you're doing embellishing. I know this is true of flower arranging too. You do things in odd numbers because odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. So just a little tip. If you've been with me for a while, I'm sure you've heard that before. Okay, so what are your thoughts on the cards? What are your thoughts on using the Stamparatus to stamp the cardstock, the die cuts that you did first? I love this technique. If you have the Stamparatus and you haven't given this technique a try when you're making lots of cards that include die cuts, I hope you will try it. If you are not familiar or don't own the Stamparatus, please know that this is just one way of using the Stamparatus. It's also great for just repeat stamping in your cards. And it can do hinge stamping where, oh, where's the, let me see if I can find it. This is the one thing I showed them last night, doing the hinge stamping. We had our cardstock in place, we stamped the sentiment, and then we actually pulled up the stamping plate and moved it down 1 hinge, and we stamped the second, did it again, stamped the third, stamped a 4th time, and stamped a 5th time. So it was, they're all perfectly lined up, they're evenly spaced, so that's another way of using it. So anyways, that's that. I hope you'll give this technique a try. I hope you will consider using the Nature's Harvest stamp set and dies as well. Lots of fun. And again, this is my latest class to go. So of course, anybody who gets the class to go and gets everything they need to make those 4 cards I showed you at the beginning, you also now have the directions to make a 5th card. And just a tip, there will be a free Friday download on this Friday, the 13th, using the Nature's Harvest bundle as well. I'm trying to read some comments. Lots of comments came through tonight. Kathy, you've been practicing with the Stamparatus using the butterfly stamp. Oh, lovely. Lovely. I'd like to see what you're making. Debbie says Poppy Parade is one of her favorite colors. You know, this is one that we got and it kind of had to grow on me. But when I think fall, so often I'm pulling this color and I love it. Great technique, impressive card. Thank you, Cindy. Gigi loves the cards. Kathy says beautiful. Kathy, I think it was you I just sent some catalogs to, so I hope you got them today. If not today, I'm sure you should have them any day now. Okay. Yes, the 1/4 inch thickness is the limit on standard postage. Thanks for sharing that, Paula. Okay, awesome. And of course, people are saying they'd love to win a card. So I will definitely pull put all the names in and pull for a winner in the next half hour or so that we finish. Any questions about anything? Celebration, new products, anything like that? Hosting a virtual party. It's a great way for people to get Stampin' rewards and free products. So if I can help you with that, it's really easy to do. Honestly, if you host a virtual party, there is almost nothing you have to do besides inviting people to the private Facebook group that I set up for you. Okay, Kathy, yes, please watch from the beginning. I think you'll enjoy the technique. The yellow is Daffodil Delight. So I use the Stampin' blends are Poppy Parade, Daffodil Delight, and Old Olive. Don't they look pretty together just like that? Kathy, I would love to talk to you about ideas for your Christmas cards. Feel free to call me. If you have my email still, my phone number is down at the bottom, along with all my other contact information. Kathy Jordan, for you're talking about, Kathy is on my team. Kathy Jordan is on my team. So when she's asking, you know, show us how to do a virtual party, that's what she's talking about. I would love to show that. I know that's something we talked about well over a year ago, probably early on when pandemic started, but I don't think you were with us then, and I'm happy to repeat and do another little training on that. Okay, everybody have a great Wednesday evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will be back on Facebook Live Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I look forward to sharing another project with you then. Bye-bye.